Hello and welcome to episode 20 of Entertainment of Excellence, the podcast where we talk about films, TV, all of it. Hi, I'm Ollie.
I'm Thom.
And I'm Ben.
And today we're going to be discussing the 2003 film Kangaroo Jack. This will contain spoilers.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, this, I don't want to call it a film. I know, okay. This ordeal, I think that is a good word for it. We've been put through this ordeal by Ben.
Hey.
Thank you, Ben, for recommending this thing.
Oh well. At least we have a new intro and new design on YouTube to cheer
Yes. What a great episode 20. Wow, 20 episodes. That's great. I'm so glad that we celebrated this with Kangaroo Jack.
If you listen really closely, I think, was it the Robot Monster episode where you teased a film that you had to recommend, and this is it.
Yep. This is the
The
thing
one.
This is the one.
that Ben decided to watch by himself for entertainment.
Are you going to get on with the synopsis then?
Okay. This is a quite difficult film to summarize because it was supposed to be something else. It was supposed to be like just a gangster film. Then they realized it was terrible. And then they went, it's got a kangaroo in it. Let's make it a kids film. So all the promotion and everything has Kangaroo Jack on the front. It's this cool hip kangaroo with sunglasses and a red hoodie. And it's not really about the kangaroo at all. It's about these two guys who are related to the mob, and they have to deliver $50,000 to this guy in Australia. But when they're there, they put it like in their jacket, which they put on a kangaroo that they run over. But it turns out the kangaroo isn't dead, and it hops off with the jacket on that has the money in, and the film is basically them trying to get the money back. And camel fart jokes ensue.
Oh, it's awful. There's like. Okay, I think a good way to start off this review would be looking at how Kangaroo Jack approaches comedy. So it's clearly meant to be a comedic film, but I don't think any of us laughed seriously once. As in, there were a couple of things that were just so bad we were laughing out of embarrassment for the directors. But there was nothing in there that was genuinely like funny. All it was just cliched joke after cliched joke, and some of the jokes weren't even cliched to a point, just that you've seen them before. There was nothing original about the film's comedy.
The first half of this watch through, I was basically sat there in confusion because every joke that was told, I was like, I feel like I know this joke. And I was getting slightly worried that I'd already seen the film.
Yeah.
Sorry, the ordeal.
It was to the point where you were questioning what makes something funny. You'd forgotten what comedy was.
I mean, some of these jokes, you feel like, I'm sure I've laughed at these kind of jokes before, but it's just not funny. And it just must be the stilted acting, and the execution is just off. The first half of it, I just felt like something was wrong. This was before the second half when we started losing our minds.
There was I think the way you put it was like, some of this stuff should maybe be funny. There's just something missing. There's like whatever element it is that makes things funny, this movie is lacking.
Maybe good characters, actors with charisma, good writing, but whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
This film does not have.
What jokes did I think? Can't even remember any now.
There was a couple where we sort of said, oh, that's funny, I guess. Like, never to the point where it was even close to laughing, apart from, as you say, laughing at just the terrible direction.
It could maybe I'm just in a weird mindset today, but I don't know, because I wrote there was a shot where they were in that plane that they were gonna crack. That basically there was a point where they're given a tranquilizer gun to shoot Kangaroo Jack with, and as soon as he got the tranquilizer gun, I said, I bet he's gonna shoot a human somehow.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, they're in a plane. He shoots the pilot with the tranquilizer gun because, of course, that was the obvious joke. Comedy is subversion of expectations, by the way, not fulfillment of them, but never mind.
But it was so predictable, especially like the first act.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you can break it down into acts, but
Oh, wait, I was going to say the thing that I said that's funny at. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I forgot that existed.
The plane burst.
They shoot the pilot, play, and they're gonna crash or whatever, and it cuts to like a far away shot. Unfortunately, they ram Kangaroo Jack in, Jackie Leg, I don't know, which he didn't even feel like he was supposed to be there, but it was a wide shot where you can faintly hear them screaming in the distance, and I've definitely laughed at cutaway things like that before, but this time I just kind of went, that was funny.
yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of sat there and in a sad little voice went, "Oh, that's funny."
I mean, maybe I've just been numbed by like the 5 camel fart jokes in 1 minute.
Yeah, but this was before that.
Oh, it was. What were the jokes before that? The jokes were one of the second main character. His entire character is that he is fat and he's black.
Yeah.
Quite questionable writing. I mean,
all the Australian characters are just stereotypes, and they literally, it's fun. They literally just use like the way that they talk and like that idiolect to just laugh at them. It's just
And the one person that's normal that has been living in Australia is actually American.
Yeah.
So
The love interest.
Oh.
The forced
well,
love
I say
interest.
normal in quotation marks.
We should also talk about how the fact that this is supposedly a children's film. It's a PG rating, and yet
There's so much questionable stuff.
Yeah, the innuendos and just questionable scenes.
How many are like there's one in the plane bathroom where they're talking about the package, and you just hear 2 men in an airplane bathroom going
That's
like,
a big load.
"Oh, that's a big load. Can I touch it?" Did they even say like, "Let me kiss"? I don't know, but it's just kind of done in such an unfunny way, and you just sat there going like, "This is for kids."
Yeah. Well, to put it this way, on the IMDb Parents Guide, there's a total of 8 separate points in the sex and nudity section, which isn't normal for a PG, shall we say? Yeah.
There's another point where he thinks that he's having a mirage in the desert of this beautiful woman, so he goes up and puts his hands on her breasts and goes, "Wow, these feel real." Obviously, she is real because that's the obvious joke.
The joke.
That's right.
And that's also obviously the start of the love interest. Oh no, that was something we laughed at, but I don't know if it was supposed to be a joke or not. Back to on the plane on the way to Australia, he goes over to the woman.
Oh.
And he says, "How are you doing?" And she says, "Good." And then he just walks off. It was so funny.
They could have left it at that, but then they kind of like, I think the point of that character was to be someone standing outside the bathroom, and then he's like mortified that she heard it. But honestly, that was fine as it was. That was like an okay scene. Please don't ruin it. Please.
So yeah, the start of the love interest between the 2 main characters, which she'd actually been in a scene before with Lewis, supporting his friend or whatever, and they had better charisma. They had better chemistry together. Sorry. So first time the main character, what's he called?
Charlie,
Chazza. First time he meets the love interest, plants his hands full on her breasts. Good old sexual assault to start off a relationship. And she's just completely fine with it, and it's never really mentioned again.
Yeah, and she's Well, I mean, there's a scene we'll get to later on in the film, but immediately after he's woken up from his dream, she's like giving him the lovey eyes, and she's pretending not to be interested, but she clearly is, and it's somehow, I don't know what message it's meant to be
Yeah,
sending.
it's like justifying
yeah.
Sexual assault gets you girls, kids.
And more kids film things like when the plane goes out of control and the pilot says, "Grab my stick firmly," and they're wiggling the joystick around between his legs and he's making questionable faces. Kids film, this is a
Yeah.
PG.
The pyro says, "Oh, go in my pants," and they said, "Oh no, everyone has urges, but
Yeah, kids
can't you
film.
resist?"
I'm sure there was another one.
But
I
not
can't
even
remember.
just like the scenes with like weird sexual undertones. There's also quite a bit of bad language, quite a bit of
Well, not that much.
well,
but,
not really bad language, but
I mean, someone says piss off, and then at the end, the bad guy calls them both retards, and I'm like, ooh.
and then there's also obviously if it was originally intended to be like some sort of gangster film, there's like guns and I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it should be a PG, but then anything else it would just be it just wouldn't have any purpose if it wasn't a child's film.
Yeah, it's like fart jokes, fat man funny, he makes a funny face, there is a kangaroo. I mean, the false marketing alone is enough to hate the film.
Yeah.
Of being told that there's going to be an epic talking kangaroo. I mean, it's a bit of like a cheesy kids gimmick, but it's not even in.
I know.
But it's not even there. You don't even get your lousy cliche kids film thing.
And like talks once in a mirage, and then again at the end with this weird sort of meta sequence.
Breaking
that's like,
the fourth wall.
Literally at the end he says, "Hey, that can't be the end. It has to finish with me. The film's called Kangaroo Jack, so it has to finish with the star of the film, who isn't even credited in the credits."
Yeah.
yeah.
But like looking from the poster and all the advertising, you think that it's all going to be centered around like this anthropomorphic animal human sort of thing, a bit like
Yeah.
Scooby Doo or
Or
something. but-
Marmaduke.
yeah. But it's so misleading that
You think it's going to be like one of those Alvin and the Chipmunks movies where the animal is causing mayhem and the humans are going around to have to pick up the pieces, and the animal's just being like a jerk because it can talk. But really, it's just the humans being stupid and having to pick up their own mess, and
Yeah.
the kangaroo's just like a secondary plot point, really.
it's just shoehorned in because it's Australian.
Yeah, like you could honestly, like you could have replaced the kangaroo with like I don't know, a koala or something, and like really it wouldn't have made much difference.
It obviously wasn't intended to be a kids' film, because obviously all of the gangster scenes. I mean, even like the bar scene, you don't usually have people downing like beer and
Yeah.
passing out drunk
I
in
know.
your kids' film.
Well, I said with a bit of editing and a few additional scenes, you could get it up to like a 15, 18 if you just change the tone.
I mean, there was also that bit where like one of the bad guys knocks someone out with the butt of a shotgun, and it kind of cuts really quickly to about like 3 seconds later, and I'm like, he shot him in between.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He shot him,
Yeah,
and they
you
just
can
cut it.
you can definitely tell they've made some adjustments to try and like edit out certain things that be like pushing it a bit too far.
I mean, would Christopher Walken want to be in a talking kangaroo film?
but speaking of stuff they edited out, there was one very very noticeable scene that is, well, I mean, I guess it's technically walking the line of PG because nothing explicitly sexual happens
Yeah, I
in it.
forgot about this.
So there's a scene where the love interest Jessie is like taking a bath in like this waterfall, and she's like in her underwear, and there's these weird shots with her like with her wet clothes on, and she's like washing her hair very sensually, and oh man, it's absolute eye candy. And and then like Charlie comes in.
covered in kangaroo blood.
He takes off his shirt, and she's like, "Whoa, you, what are you doing?" And he's going, "Well, I'm dirty. I'm hot. I want a bath, and you should move if you don't want me in there." And the whole scene is this weird, like, back and forth of her going, "Well, I don't want this," and he's just like, "Well, I'll do it anyway," which, like.
And then they both like look at each other's genitalia as you do.
Yeah, it's like
That does happen, by the way. They literally go like, "What did you? I can't.
Did you?"
It's like, well, you looked first. I can't remember.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's so. This is a kids' movie, and like the thing on its own, like, okay, it probably wouldn't have been that bad if it was like a romance movie, maybe, because I don't know, like, to a degree, you could probably have like a bit of teasing, and it would be all right. But given the context that they've met each other by Charlie grabbing her breasts, and it just feels like so uncomfortable. It's painful to watch. And then they kiss, and she's like, "Oh, this kiss did nothing for me," and he's like, "Well, this is the most sensual romantic moment I've ever had." And of course, then they remembered it's a kids movie and had Lewis bloody well jump into the pool.
Haha, fat man. He's funny.
Yeah, it's funny 'cause
he makes
he's
big
fat.
splash.
Big
Big
splash,
splash.
big
It's
noise.
funny.
Funny,
Ha.
ants in his pants. Funny.
Oh, yeah, another point. He does get ants in his pants as well. Ha, funny.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, I did think it was just going to do a boner joke instead, but it did fat man funny joke, and so I guess it subverted my expectations there.
Yeah.
I'm very
What
proud
did
of
you
it.
think of the training montage?
So to catch Kangaroo Jack, they suddenly forget they've got a tranquilizer gun, and she goes like, "Lets you." I don't know what they're called. Basically, it's some weird round fruits tied to rope that they then swing around, and it wraps around people's legs. So they have a training montage that lasts a bit too long because it's just the same
Yeah.
shot over and over again
Yeah.
of him swinging these things around and obviously failing on purpose, like letting go at the wrong time on purpose, which just makes it not funny at all. And it's quite boring, really.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it.
Training montages themselves are quite cliched, but in this film, it just. I mean, in one sense, it's a bit of fresh air because at least it's not camel farting jokes. But it's also just, oh, stop, please.
Yeah, but the thing is, all of these scenes that were just an insult to our intelligence, the amalgamation of all these terrible jokes and just awful
Rapping
moments.
kangaroos.
Yeah, it got to the point where I actually I'm ashamed to say that I just found myself like laughing at the kangaroo rapping, like not even ironically. I think I was just going insane.
It played it the first time, and we literally did nothing. Then we went back and watched the rap again, and we were laughing our heads off. I don't know what it is. I think that was the point where we broke.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was the kangaroo going, and I can talk and I can sing, and then starts rapping instead of singing.
Well, speaking of the music, we need
Oh.
to discuss the Gangster.
What is the actual song called that they ripped off?
I think it's a Snoop Dogg one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the
Is it Drop It Like
Dictator.
It's Hot? Or have I made that
No,
up?
it's not.
No.
Drop It Like It's
Drop
Hot.
It Like It's Hot. No, it's the.
Da, 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 da,
But then-
da, 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 da.
But
Not
it's
quite that.
It's like exact same rhythm.
Oh,
and
it's
they've-
Aladdin.
Yeah,
No,
it's in the
but they
Dictator,
parody
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
but
a-
like, I'm getting a step closer to realizing what it actually was.
Yeah.
They basically, it's the same rhythm, and they just slightly alter the melody to get away with it. And we counted it playing 12 times.
Yeah.
Basically, any time Kangaroo Jack appears, which is a lot fewer times than you expect, bearing in mind the film is called Kangaroo Jack. Every time he's on screen, it just starts playing, and it's so exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we counted it that many times, but I don't remember him being on screen a dozen times. It seems like half of that.
Yeah.
It literally seems like every appearance, of him in the film is actually in the trailer, just so they could.
Well, you
get
don't
people to
remember
be
him
like-
being in it because he's a kangaroo that can't talk. He just
Yeah.
jumps around. Like, he doesn't do anything, really. It's this, and it's the CGI for it is so terrible.
Yeah, but
I mean,
it's so
they had a
whole-
budget of $60 million. $60 million. It's. I'm speechless, really.
Yeah.
We found it.
Yeah, so it's basically like the cheap Chinese non-copyright rip-off of The Next Episode by Dr. Dre, featuring Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, and Corrupt. Like,
Yeah,
but it's
surely you'll recognise it if you listen.
so the original's like in a weird minor, I think, pentatonic scale, but the rip-off is like in a really weird major scale, and it feels like such a rip-off. It's like awful.
It's got such a wholesome ending, this film, though, when you see Kangaroo Jack's family.
Wait, I thought you were
What,
talking
and
about
then
the intimate non-gay moment.
Yeah, the ending is just so
They force
cathartic.
they force all the cliche character arcs right at the end. Like
Yeah.
the
They're not even ashamed to do it. They're
Yeah.
literally just.
I mean, there's the whole "you save my day, you save my life every day" or whatever of his friend. Bearing in mind the entire film, they've just been calling each other idiots and getting annoyed.
Yeah.
And it's like this. It's so forced. And then the Kangaroo Jack's family comes to see them. You're like, what? But then it's funny because the baby Kangaroo Jack kicks the fat man. Wait, no, who does he kick? The main
The
character.
protagonist, yeah.
He kicks someone. Funny. And then literally it does like a little epilogue where it's like, so the main character gets really rich. He's on a cruise. He gets the girl. He gets his best friend. Wow.
Oh, the ending is just like a less awful version of the creepy sexual scene where he's just like kissing Jessie, who's his wife now, and then Lewis just comes and like dives into this pool that's on,
It's about 3 feet deep, so he would have broken his legs. But
and it's also very near the sea.
yeah, and it was really small, so he could have easily missed. But I also forgot to mention that only at the start and end, it has the voiceover narration, the lazy writer's trick, and it basically even says in the voiceover, "Yeah, I got all the money and the beautiful girl and my best friend." It's like, come on,
Yeah.
at least try and have a good ending, please. Even if it's
We need to explain the massive twist with the money. How,
the twist.
well,
I don't even remember.
that the money was actually for them to be assassinated, which is
Oh.
just something that you don't have in a
kids film.
Yeah.
They were delivering the money to their assassin. Wow, kids film.
Oh yeah, so
It's actually a decent idea.
we've mentioned it like a few times, but I'll just make it very clear. This film started off as a gangster film, as a mafia film, as something, I don't know, I'm assuming like a 12, 15 film. Then they somehow, I can't quite remember why, I can look it up, but they changed it to a comedy, and we're just like, well, we've got all of these scenes, let's just add a kangaroo and funny and character who's just black and fat. That's his whole arc, you know, that's his whole character.
Hilarious.
At the end he's like wholesome, but he's also still black and fat.
It's really annoying that they just added like, that's a good idea. That's the only non-cliched thing. Although actually, I can't remember if I've heard of it that idea before. But like, there's so many.
Definitely watched this
I don't
before,
know.
just forgot.
There's so many tiny cliched moments, like when they're in a truck driving away from police, and it's got the classic dog sliding on the vehicle as it turns around corners. I'm sure I've seen that in other things like Cats and Dogs or something.
Okay, so I'll be very professional and read from Wikipedia here. Initially, the film was titled Down and Under and was shot as an R-rated mob comedy in the style of Midnight Run. The film was shot in Australia in August 2001 and included cursing, sex, and violence, and only one scene with a kangaroo. However, when the film's producers saw their first rough cut, they realised it wasn't working as expected. Inspired by positive response to the kangaroo scene in early test screenings, as well as the marketing campaign behind the recently released Snow Dogs, the production shifted the marketing focus away from that of a dark mafia comedy to that of a family-friendly animal picture. There you go.
So it's just they must have reshot stuff then.
Yeah.
You might think from watching the trailer or whatever, how like that doesn't make any sense. But trust me, once you've watched it, it's not even that much of a surprise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, why is this gangster calling it like people a furball? What? And it's General Zod as well. I'm pretty sure. Like they've got General Zod and Christopher Walken. I don't mean obviously the actor isn't called General Zod. He plays General Zod in Man of Steel.
Wait, General Zod plays General Zod?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But
It's just
the thing is, we were saying how at the start, maybe in the first like 15-20 minutes, the pacing is just
Oh, yeah.
so fast. Like literally in 10 minutes. I can't even explain it, but
Yeah.
it feels like the same amount of stuff happens in 10 minutes as it does in the next half an hour.
it's like a fever dream.
Yeah.
You're like,
because-
oh, so much just happened that I didn't comprehend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what happened is most films, you can either criticize them as being too fast or too slow. This started off very fast. There was a lot of plot packed into what I'm assuming was the first 10, 15 is probably pushing it, minutes of the film. So the whole TVs in the back of the stolen van chase scene, that the flight to Australia, all of this happened very, very quickly. But as soon as they touched down in Australia, there was just so much going on that wasn't like a key plot point. And that sort of made it go slower, and then then it sort of sped up a little bit because it was sort of going at a normal pace, and then it kind of just went a bit fast, a bit slow, and it was all over the place.
Yeah.
Because there's a style of movie that's very quick paced, like a lot of action movies nowadays have those sort of like quick intros where it's introduce the characters in 5 minutes, then cut to where they're going to and explain the plot and dump them in there. But this just lost steam when they went into Australia.
The pacing did slow down, but I also just want to emphasize that the pacing was extremely fast at the start, but I was still bored.
Yeah. Oh,
How?
that car scene truck scene can't have lasted any more than, I don't know, 5 minutes maximum. It was so boring.
While I was watching, I was like, this just Blues Brothers just has way better comedy police car chase scenes. Like, just watch that instead.
I think there was something that was just like, there was a throwaway line that was just like, well, I'll tell them that you're a hairdresser. And I think that was meant to be funny because Charlie's a hairdresser, but
He's effeminate.
I don't understand how is.
It's the thing, they
Save me.
take like bits from other films and then just like reproduce a mediocre version of it.
Bastardize them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Mirage scene for me just dragged
no.
so long. Like that point where he thinks he finds the truck and then he's like on the floor pretending to like drink a carton, but he's got a rock in his
Yeah,
hand.
we got the idea. You didn't need to go on for that long.
Well, when is it? And then he has them. Then he meets Jessie or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know that her name was Jessie until you said it. And is
I
it
know
then
from the
after that
credits.
he has more Mirage with Kangaroo Jack?
Oh
Well,
yeah,
it's
because then he sort of
it's
faints.
because
Oh yeah, he gets knocked.
he
down.
gropes Jessie basically. She gets like a big angry and punches him.
Well, that's a surprise.
Never mentions it again throughout the rest of the film.
I would have.
Then he's sort of like dreaming about Kangaroo Jack, and then
That's the only time he talks is because it's not real.
Yeah.
just like Blimey, Charlie, that
Like,
that-
it, obviously, I bet in the actual film, you know, he would have just been knocked out and then it would have cut to the next part, but
Just
just adds
find
in
a
this
jacket that
weird,
fits. Nice.
really long
Oh, yeah.
Kangaroo Jack comes in, he does a rap, then he takes them to all these other kangaroos who are actually other characters from the film, and it's like, what? It's, you don't understand how much I hate this film.
My name is Jackie Legs, and I'd like to say hello. Sorry, the 0 Australian listeners we have.
What was the bit that I nearly cried?
Well,
The
you
whole
were like,
movie.
you were bashing your head against the wall after like 5 minutes.
You'll need to be more specific, Tom.
I can't remember. There were just certain points where we'd look at each other. Like, I remember looking at Ollie and he looked so disgusted.
He was like curled up with like his legs to his chest, like rocking back and forth.
We rewatched the rap bit because the rap started. I looked at Ollie and he had a look that was like, oh, this is actually good.
Damn, this kangaroo's fire.
Stoop that low.
It's just because it was maybe unique. Have we had a rapping talking animal yet?
I said a hip hop, a hipper to the hip hop, and you don't stop the rocking to the bang, mate.
I feel like we have had a rapping animal before, but still,
Yeah, but it was shush.
it was
It
more
was-
unique than other stuff.
Yeah.
But how did you bear to watch this twice, Ben?
I watched it the first time, left so disappointed. I was just like, oh dear, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to make these lads.
We
suffer
must have
with
done
me.
something to Ben to
Yeah.
make him hate us.
Because
My recommendation is don't watch it once.
We'll just spend the whole recommendation segment going. We recommend that you watch anything but this
For the sake of your health.
yeah.
for the sake of your sanity.
I mean,
Knowing you'll probably. I think I should tell you one of the side effects of watching Kangaroo Jack is when you go to sleep, you'll dream about a talking, rapping kangaroo.
no. I'm actually worried that I'm gonna.
And then Ollie and I will just appear in kangaroo form. And we'll talk to you.
Did he had the sunglasses at that point? I assume Jackie Legs.
Yeah.
What other awful CGI was there apart from
Oh,
the kangaroo? The
bit
plane.
where they. I mean, this was the kangaroo, but did you see the bit where like they had all the money from the envelope? It was just awful when it panned
Yeah.
to like the other kangaroos.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, that was like the money was so much clearer than the kangaroos. Like,
Yeah.
could you not have like blurred it a little bit or like faded it in a bit better? I don't
There's
know.
a bit where they're standing on like a cliff and there's a waterfall in the background that's obviously fake.
Yeah, it's Australia.
yeah.
You're filming in Australia. Find a genuine waterfall.
And there's
Plus, it's cheaper. Why would you waste money on that and not spend it on the?
a lot of the
bloody
close-ups of them
kangaroo.
in the plane are pretty fake. If they wanted like background in it, just looked really bad.
Yeah.
The scene where Lewis
Oh,
is hanging over
yeah.
the cliff at the end,
Yeah.
the floor looks like really terrible. It's obviously, I assume that was a set because it didn't look like they were outside. So, just
Something else. That was
$60 million dollars.
It was also weird how, like, a lot of the music was really quiet in comparison to like
Oh,
the
yeah.
dialogue
Mixing.
and yeah.
Because there was this big dramatic chase scene, and you'd imagine the huge music surrounding the stereo image, and you'd hear a few voices, but most of it's just gonna be the music being dramatic. But really, you could hear like the background sound effects of like the chase more than the music.
Yeah,
It was-
it was just terrible. I don't know why it was so quiet.
Yeah, but it just made, like the gangster theme. It made that even worse because it was sort of like faint. It was like your ears were ringing with this horrible
Yeah.
song over and over again.
going insane.
I mean, the editing was usually okay, but then I remember that it did the swipe cut, and that is
Oh.
not good.
Oh, you know how most of the films we've reviewed on the podcast, we've said, well, it might be bad or it might be good, but I think the music was good. I think this is the one film we've done that I can say I hated the music.
What
Because-
about the credit song though?
Oh yes,
Peak 2003.
the most 2003 you can get.
Hey, baby.
I wanna know if you be my girl.
And the answer is yes, because we already saw. But
I'm actually ashamed that I was born in the same year that this was made.
you're associated with Kangaroo Jack. I got out the womb just in time.
Oh, I was 6 days into Kangaroo Jack and Hulk. Yeah.
Like, Hulk was better than this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hulk. Have you seen the
Ang Lee's
editing
Hulk.
of Hulk? It's
I have seen
genuinely
the editing of
awful. Oh.
I'd rather watch Hulk though, because at least Hulk you can like laugh at.
Yeah, it's not even
It's
so
not-
bad that it's good. It's just
It's much easier to laugh at bad films that aren't comedies, I feel like, because
Yeah, like
they
Birdemic.
achieve being dramatic badly, so you laugh at it. But if they try and be a comedy badly, then that means it's not funny.
But
Like
then you-
Birdemic, Robot Monster. I mean, not really Mile 22, but like those two films, they were trying their best to be serious,
Yeah.
and the directors genuinely thought that they were good movies.
But when you're laughing at bad comedy, it's almost like, am I laughing at the joke or am I laughing at why it exists?
You get really deep and philosophical
Yeah.
in the meaning of jokes.
Yeah, I
and
mean
comedy.
the camel farting joke.
Oh dear, I could
That was
just
the
rant
most
about that for 30
groan-inducing-
seconds.
That was we groaned and then just laughed that it existed. Like
Well, see, I'd seen this before and I was seeing it coming, so I was trying not to give any hints just so that they could be as disappointed as possible.
it
Yeah,
worked.
I swear if I'd said there's going to be camel farting jokes, you'd have still been disappointed. It was just... You could not stoop any lower with the comedy there.
And we obviously got the that one was me
Oh, yeah.
at the end as well.
Like a really big fart. And then Lewis goes, oh, that one was me.
Well, it was worth it because it won the Blimp Award for favourite fart in a movie in 2004.
Wow, hilarious.
Yeah.
Great.
What do you know
Please
any
help.
other winners of favourite fart of the year?
We need to do some research.
I want to know what did Shrek win in 2001?
Who
Good old
knows?
fart jokes.
But like a 4.4 on IMDb, it's quite generous.
That's quite high.
That is
Yeah,
quite
but
high.
I guess a lot of
Well,
them
we'll
are just like kids saying, well, not kids, but like parents saying, "No, we had a fun time with it." But
What have they been watching before?
I don't know. This might be our last ever episode of the podcast
Code name
because
calls.
we don't like films anymore.
We can't watch another film ever again. Well, I mean, the cinematography was okay. It wasn't disgusting.
Yeah,
It was serviceable.
well done. You found one good point.
There's a Kangaroo Jack Good Day USA.
Yeah.
Is that the
What rating does that have, Ollie?
That's a 4.1.
That's worse.
Apparently,
Wow.
it's an animated.
I feel like if they actually
Thing.
had the talking kangaroo in it, though, it would be a bit better, to be honest.
Yeah, but it was released direct to video, so like
Came out-
they knew it wasn't going
Ooh.
to perform well in cinemas.
Came out 2004, so
It's different writers.
Yeah.
So, who... okay.
okay. If the YouTube video gets to 10 likes, then we'll do Kangaroo Jack Good Day USA.
no, we won't. No, we won't.
Yeah, we will.
At least you set an unrealistic goal.
Okay, 2 likes then.
Okay.
No,
It's still
no.
unrealistic.
If we get to one dislike,
Oh, no. I'm gonna... one of you two are gonna dislike it, and I'm gonna be furious.
I wish I could. But like, honestly, I'm gonna watch this episode again, and I'm just be like, they sound so tired. They sound so just like the life has been sucked out of them, and it's not just because it's warm. It's just this film. It just saps your like consciousness. It's,
Just in like a state of stasis.
oh my gosh.
It's kind of really... You can't tell whether you should be bored or disgusted by what you're seeing.
That's true. Yeah.
Imagine watching this with your kids. Like, there's so many.
I would not let my kids. Well, first of all, if it was a young kid, I wouldn't let them watch it because of the sex stuff.
And like calling someone a retard. It's like,
If there was a
yikes.
teenage kid, I still probably wouldn't watch because of like the sex stuff, because that's awful, and the awful comedy. And if it was like, I can't, because they say it's a family movie, but like the adults are gonna absolutely just die of boredom and not find it funny. The kids might find some bits
They'll
funny,
laugh at the farting camels.
but then any like mob bits, they're just gonna be falling asleep through. Oh, one thing I will mention is, well, we know that Kangaroo Jack himself is only on screen for 5 minutes. Most of that, well, a few bits of that are just like little skits,
no.
I guess, throughout the film, which I'm assuming just to keep the kids awake.
He has a spicy sweet, haha, funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the best comparison you can make is if you've seen Ice Age, the squirrel Scrat. Like it's like some kids are, most kids are going to be interested in the story, but like younger ones are going to be entertained mainly by the squirrel, like running off after the acorn and having his own adventures and getting into trouble. It's sort of like that. It's just the kangaroo
Yeah.
like eating.
Or like Family Guy cutaway gags.
Yeah, like just.
Why?
This film does something to you.
I feel like I'm losing what little mind I have left.
I was going to say a point about it, but I've already forgotten and I
Yeah.
already don't care. I just want to move on and forget that this exists.
Okay, well, why don't we do just that? We'll wrap it up and we'll talk about the ratings. This is gonna be fun.
No.
So, impressions of the movie as a whole. What did you think?
Well, the acting
Bearable.
was just kind of like, I don't know, it just wasn't funny. The plot maybe was okay-ish, I
No, it
guess.
wasn't. Oh, the
Yeah.
the mafia plot was.
As long as
like,
you
okay.
don't
Better
see it
than
as a
other-
kids movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the jokes weren't funny. The writing just wasn't funny. Cinematography was okay. The editing was okay, except it did a wipe cut, so it doesn't count. Is it enjoyable? No. Is it enjoyable as a bad film?
No.
No. So I'm gonna give it. It has a tiny bit of merit, so 2.5.
Nice.
0.5.
Well, personally, and I don't know if this is just because I've seen it twice.
And it lies in marketing, by the way.
Oh, I'm gonna go 2.1.
That's fair.
0.1. I feel if I don't give it a 10, then my dreams will be haunted by Kangaroo Jack and his family.
You'll wake up and he'll kick you in the face.
No, he'll just rap at you.
Was that it? Hot, hippie.
I can't. That's like
But-
the actual lyrics as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Rapper's
It's the
Delight
most,
by the
like-
Sugar Hill Gang.
I feel like Ben is the expert on this film. He's probably so I'm gonna agree with his rating and say 2.1 as well.
Nice.
Fine with it being as low as possible, really. I just.
Well, the thing is, this knocks Birdemic out of the bottom 3 rated films we've done.
That's fine though, because I think Birdemic is actually the most enjoyable
Yeah.
out of them.
Yeah,
It's not objectively a good movie, but at least it's enjoyable.
Is Robot Monster at the top of those? Like, as in the most? I can't remember.
well, I think Mile 22 is the highest rated, but
Oh.
maybe just
Yeah.
because I can see why.
Like, you can see some people enjoying it,
Yeah,
Like
but it's still not good.
Robot Monster's 4.1, Mile 22's 4.5, and Kangaroo Jack is around 2.2.
It's worth it.
That's
The
isn't it?
lowest
impressive.
rated movie we have ever done.
Congratulations,
By far.
Kangaroo Jack!
yay!
On our 20th episode. Thank heavens that's over with.
Should we talk about good things now?
I don't know if I have the energy to.
Neither do I.
I don't want to. I don't know if I can taint my recommendation with Kangaroo Jack. I want to talk about like one of the best animated films of all time, and it's next to Kangaroo Jack.
Well, you've
Okay,
got.
in the meantime, we don't have any submission spotlight this week, which is such a shame because you could have saved us.
Yeah.
You could have saved our sanity, but instead we're just never going to make another episode. So if you want us to make another episode, please send your work in, be that a short film, a book, I don't know, a comic, a music.
A
song.
music.
See, that's what Kangaroo Jack does to you. A music. Send in a music, please. I don't know, even just like, well, what do we say, like poetry or like art or like anything? I don't know.
Anything that isn't Kangaroo Jack.
Anything that isn't Kangaroo Jack. Please send him in. We'll devote like a 10-minute segment to you. We'll give constructive criticism and not too much of it so you feel terrible.
I mean, it's gonna look so good next to Kangaroo Jack. Be real.
Oh, you could be terrible. You could.
Well, even if you think it's awful, we'll be crying with joy that we get to read something better than Kangaroo Jack.
To be fair to Kangaroo Jack, can you think of a better film? Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
No, I can't.
Can you think of a better film that combines a talking kangaroo and mob violence
Can you think of
and
a film?
strange sexual innuendos in a PG film? It's got to be the best one of those.
Yeah, I'm gonna also say it's the worst one of those. Just as
Oh,
a
well, how
I'd say it's
about
the
the
best
other
in the
Kangaroo Jack film?
saga.
what Kangaroo Jack Good Day USA?
Yeah.
No,
We'll watch it if we can.
no,
get,
no,
10
no.
likes.
I refuse.
Okay, I'll watch it with Ollie, and we'll get a special guest on. We'll kick Thom off.
I'll become a special guest once again.
Anyway, contact us through our website, contact form, entertainmentofexcellence.weebly.com, or follow us on social media at EOV Podcast. You can message us there. That's what the direct message function is for
Yes.
sending us stuff. So do it, please. Please.
Please,
Please.
please.
Just please.
Should we talk about good things?
I don't have any good things to talk about. You can, though.
Do I have to go first? I don't want to go straight after Kangaroo Jack though.
You have to.
Okay. So, recently I watched Spirited Away, which is, you've probably heard of it. It's like the most famous Studio Ghibli film, and it won an Oscar for Best Animated Picture. It's so good. It's about a girl who's moving out of town, and so she arrives in this new town, but like gets to a place where all these spirits go from Japan, and they kind of live there, and she ends up having to work for this evil witch in a bathhouse, and it just kind of follows her through this time. So it's not really like a goal-based plot, or well, I guess it is, because the goal is to her parents kind of get turned into pigs, and I guess the goal is to turn them back into humans and get away with them. But it's one of those films that, even though it's a kids film, it's not afraid to have quiet moments, and the quiet moments are actually sometimes the most iconic and emotional, and it has great world building, really interesting characters, and there's so many different themes. Like, it has commentary on capitalism in there, themes on the balance of good and evil, how they're not always completely distinct. It's about like the value of children, and they shouldn't just be ignored. And the director even said that he made the film for 10-year-old girls. I mean, you don't have to be a 10-year-old girl to enjoy it, though. It's still like amazing. But just the fact that he said that, and not, oh yeah, we made it for money. And it's really interesting because they actually started making the film before they'd finished the script, which I think they do with most of that director's films in Studio Ghibli, which means it kind of, it's kind of this beast that just transforms into its own thing. And it's really enjoyable. It's definitely worth watching. And I think everyone will get something out of it. It's just, I don't know, it's great, it's magical, it's not Kangaroo Jack, it's
Are there
everything
any
you want.
kangaroos in it?
Are there any mafia plots in it?
I don't
Are
think,
there any
I don't think there are any
camel farts
kangaroos.
in it?
There aren't any camel farts in it.
Bloody hell.
Sorry about that.
Big motorbike man.
There aren't any fart jokes in it. There aren't any like, just terrible kids jokes in it. Even though it's a film for kids, this is what family films really are. It's
Not
it's films that are made for kids that kids can enjoy, but have mature themes. And by mature, that doesn't mean like adult. It means mature, like interesting themes. Like I said about the balance between good and evil, and then there's also kind of about finding the value within something that may look grotesque or different, and there's just so many cool ideas, and it's just great. So yeah. Does anyone else want to recommend something or talk about anything that isn't Kangaroo Jack?
I mean, I don't really have anything as such, but I've been watching a few Darren Brown specials and programs.
Spooky man.
Making me commit a crime.
I know we've watched it together before, but if you don't know, Darren Brown is basically like sort of a hypnotist / magician who, well, I think in his early career it was all more about magic, but now he does like tests for like social compliance or how far someone would go to fit in, stuff like that. So there's quite a few on Netflix, like The Push, and also, well, Channel 4, like I think last week did a sort of 2-hour documentary thing on him, and after that they showed his best stunt that vote on, and it was one called Apocalypse, where basically he takes someone who supposedly takes views their life just for granted, and he basically sets up the end of the world, and he does this thing where he like knocks people unconscious just by talking to them. So he does that, and then he wakes up in this bed, and there's supposedly a zombie apocalypse, and there's a few survivors, and it like he tests a lot of the things that he was supposedly lacking, like compassion and leadership, and like the end goal in all his things are to, well, either to sort of test someone or to improve them. And although like immediately after, it can seem to have pretty devastating effects on them, because they believe that it was the end of the world for a few days, and they believe like their family had died or whatever. But I think he did one where he unwillingly took a copy of somebody's face and then like put it on a doll in a car crash, and then someone like saw themselves in a car crash, and everyone ignored them like in the ambulance and stuff. And some of it you might just see as like pretty sick, but it's definitely interesting to sort of look at the way he's able to manipulate people, and it's just interesting programs and specials.
Even his just normal program's pretty good. I can't actually remember what it's called, but that's just where he does like pretty quick stunts. I remember.
Is that Trick of the Mind?
Oh, a Tricks of the Mind or something. Yeah. Like there's just ones where I remember one where he tricks people into thinking that he's invisible.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he goes in a room and he's wrapped in bandages, and he just takes the bandages
I
off,
watched
and you
that
just
one
see
last night, actually.
you just see his head, and the other person's like,
Yeah,
he's invisible, and you're like, what?
that was weird.
And he makes a taxi driver forget the way
The
around
London
London.
Eye, yeah.
And
There's also
yeah.
like there's one where he like beats, well, overall he beats 9 like of the top chess players. He basically does it where he like he plays them against each other and remembers their moves, and it's complicated but definitely interesting.
Yeah. Darren Brown's wild.
Yes.
So there we go. We've had recommendations. Ben's too exhausted to recommend anything apart from to not watch Kangaroo Jack.
Please don't watch it.
Shall we? Wrap? We've plugged the website and all the social media, so like and subscribe, turn on the notification bell.
Please leave a comment. Also,
Kangaroo.
what?
Sorry.
Am I going insane? Okay.
What Kangaroo Jack does to you. Anyway, leave a comment, leave a review. If you hate us, send us hate mail. That would be cool.
Please.
Also, subscribe to our mailing list, because if you'd been subscribed by now, you would have received the new intro, which we used for this episode, a week early.
Ooh.
Well,
Have they got our recommendation list yet?
they will have done.
Whoa. That is exciting. You need to subscribe to the mailing list right now to see all the amazing things we have recommended.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I think probably when this is released, Christopher Nolan's new film will have come out
Tenet.
in cinemas. Like the only new film that's ever gonna come out. But
Yeah.
I think A Quiet Place Part 2 is coming out soon. I saw it on a bus.
yeah. So
Well,
there you go.
We might be able to watch
might
it.
have to do that
depending
because
on what
it's the-
cinemas near us are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll either. Well, it looks pretty good. I mean, obviously we don't know yet if it will get good reviews.
Yeah, I wonder if Christopher Nolan will ever break out of doing his my films have to be mind-bending stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the only time he didn't do that was like the Dark Knight trilogy, which was amazing. But I think because was it like Memento? I think he started with, and that's like the plot's all in a random order. I've not actually seen it, so after that he was like mind-bending stuff. Time to do like Inception and Interstellar, and now Tenet, which is time travel, I think.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not just a gimmick and is actually cool.
I think he was sort of holding off from releasing it. I think it was finished before lockdown, but he wanted it to be released in cinemas, which you can sort of
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Cool.
So hopefully we'll watch that.
Groovy. Well, thanks for listening.
We usually
Or-
recommend you to watch the film, but it's too late, so sorry if you already watched it before the episode. Haha.
If you want to buy it as a gift for someone you really hate, there will be a link in the description. If you as Tom said, if there's that one friend who genuinely wants to be friends with you and you hate them so much, there is one guaranteed way to get them off your back.
Yeah. Clockwork Orange
Kangaroo
style.
Jack. And with that, alright, see ya.
Alright,
See ya.
yeah, that seems to be.
You're ready for a parody.
Kangaroo.
Yeah. Da 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 da. You know I'm down with the E of E. Yeah. You know he's back, but very tired. What? So just turn that film off then. Just turn it off. Just turn that film off, dude. Yes, up, boys. Bad film, worst of all. Fella, turn it right off. JACK, my fella, turn it off now. ERV, OTB, yeah, we all wanna die. We had to watch this bloody movie while holding our eyes open. Mob gangsters, 2 idiots, and 1 kangaroo. Sounds like a fun movie to take your kids to. Comprised solely of cringeworthy stereotypes as characters and caricatures with no other lie. With false advertising, it ain't a big surprise. Everybody likes to bash this. It's aged very badly with its dated effects. It's unsuitable for kids with its uncomfortable sex references, innuendos, and lack of consent. I'm wondering what kind of message it's supposed to send. Grab a woman's breast and kiss her when she says no. She'll fall in love and heckin' marry you, bro. It's the one and only E of E. Yeah. Da. You think it's good, I beg to disagree. It makes you question comedy. Doesn't make you laugh, you just watch begrudgingly, hoping it gets better. Lewis is stupid and fat. What? You think it gets any funnier than that? Well, hey, 2 men Hugging is not gay, neither is describing money like a penis, it's your lucky day. And you're deluded if you think that fart jokes are okay. Hold up, hey, despite all this there was a sequel made. It's called Kangaroo Jack, a day USA. For all my fellas who's still alive, what you gonna do? 'Cause we ain't gonna suffer through it with you. Please like and subscribe.